Hi, welcome to this course on ChatGPT. ChatGPT by OpenAI is a conversational language model, which means it can answer questions or perform tasks that yield a text-based response. This may not sound much different to a standard chatbot, but ChatGPT is much more than that. Standard chatbots are usually designed to return a predetermined response to a limited number of questions. ChatGPT is far more generalizable, as it uses its understanding of language to interpret the question or task and determine the most appropriate response. This means that ChatGPT has a wide range of potential applications. ChatGPT is an example of a generative AI model. Generative AI is a subset of artificial intelligence and machine learning, where a model creates new content based on patterns in information it has already seen. In ChatGPT's case, this generated content is text, but other models also exist for image, audio, and even video generation. This is how ChatGPT works. The user writes a question or instruction, which is more generally called a prompt. This prompt is passed as an input to a large language model, or LLM. LLMs use complex algorithms to determine patterns and structure in language. These patterns are then used to interpret the prompt and generate new relevant language in response to it. Finally, this generated text or response is returned to the user. Let's see ChatGPT in action with some examples. ChatGPT is great at summarizing text or concepts for a particular audience, which is useful when summarizing reports for different stakeholders or interpreting complex information. Let's write a prompt to instruct ChatGPT to summarize GDPR in simple terms. ChatGPT responds with a summary that contains very few technical details or jargon, while still capturing the key points. This is a good start. However, the summary is quite long. It would be better if we could boil it down to 2 key sentences. We can ask ChatGPT to do just that. Notice that we don't have to instruct it to summarize GDPR again. ChatGPT will actually remember the information and context from earlier in the conversation. The ability for ChatGPT to remember the conversation history and for the user to provide follow-up corrections to responses are 2 extremely powerful capabilities of the model. Summarizing text or concepts is pretty cool, but ChatGPT can also perform more creative tasks, such as creating marketing content. Let's ask ChatGPT to write a tweet encouraging people to acquire data literacy skills. This tweet is pretty good. ChatGPT came up with a catchy slogan, "Data is power," considered Twitter's character limitations, and utilized hashtags and emojis to be relevant and engaging for the audience. ChatGPT is already being applied to streamline many different marketing tasks, including creating email templates, writing blog post titles and descriptions, and copy editing large bodies of text. ChatGPT is also impacting how software engineers, data practitioners, and others write code. ChatGPT is able to generate template code, explain why code isn't working, and even make suggestions for improvements. So why should we begin implementing ChatGPT into our workflows and business processes? ChatGPT is able to perform many time-consuming tasks with greater efficiency. Using our own expertise, we can then verify and finalize the responses. This workflow of AI doing the legwork and a human providing the finishing touches saves a substantial amount of time and money. Take the example of using ChatGPT to generate marketing content. This will allow marketers to focus on more complex and nuanced tasks, such as deciding what to market and to whom. Implementing ChatGPT into products will also allow for greater personalization of content, delivering more value to customers.